Bravo.
If we could turn the microphone on, that would be fantastic. Louder, 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 louder. Well, that takes a few breaths. Can you bring the mic to me? No, I mean, that's all. I asked you 3 questions before the film. I'd like to ask the same 3 questions at this point. Louder, Dana?
Yeah,
It's not working. Louder. Louder. No. Louder, please. It's actually on. Louder. 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 How many of us pretty much agree with the official story at this point as I described it before, jet planes bringing the towers down with the resulting fires? Please be brave, I know this is difficult. There was 4 before, is there any now? Does anybody see any hands? We had 38 of you who were unsure. You might still be unsure. How many of us are unsure what brought the towers down? Just let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 38 before. 9. How many do you think the towers were brought down by controlled demolition at this point? Okay, so we have something to talk about, don't we? I mean, if now we have an audio distortion we need to fix. It was working fine before. Okay. So, yeah, it's an audio distortion. If I'm going to use the other mic. Yeah, we can do it. It's mine. Whoa. No, I just turned this one. They're both on the same side. So. Let's turn this one off. Let's try this one again. Test.
It's a 58. That mic is designed for you to go right on top of it. That's the way they're made.
I was distorting when I was.
That was the wireless microphone.
If Al-Qaeda had access, did Al-Qaeda have access to these three of the most highly controlled, secure buildings outside the Pentagon? Right? Is that a reasonable assumption?
No.
Probably not. That's why we have people, like some of us, saying, well, this had to have been some sort of an inside operation. Obviously, we have a huge problem, and the implications of that conclusion are absolutely enormous. How can you have so many people getting away with such a massive deception and a mass hypnosis on society to get them to believe that these towers, architects like myself, that saw the towers coming down on TV that day, that were told that what we're seeing is a gravitational collapse when everything's being blown out like a mushroom. It's absolutely incredible what we're capable of believing when we have the need to believe under conditions of shock and awe, cognitive dissonance. It's extraordinary. So that's why we've been so busy for the last 6 years trying to catch up and find a way to reach the American people. And I'm delighted to have a nearly packed audience here this afternoon. I want to give you an opportunity to stay with us. We got a lot of work yet to do. Unfortunately, it's only just beginning with the release of this film. We have extraordinary work. We're going to talk about what that work is and what some of you are doing about that. But you can sign up for our free monthly email newsletter. And if I could have those clipboards. So if you can put your name, phone number, if you want, and certainly email address. What we'll do is get to you in your email box the latest evidence that we have, the latest efforts and progress toward a real investigation. So, I'll introduce to you some of the activists shortly who are working here in the New York area. Very, very hard to bring information, films like this, other events that you need to be aware of that are making a difference. Also, I want to invite you to join Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. I was literally in shock when I learned this information 6 years ago, the truth about 9/11. I felt like Dorothy Lorick did. I felt the ground had moved from underneath me. I couldn't just live in a society that was going to be obviously oblivious to such a massive distortion in reality that I had to do something. I mean, there was no Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. After 4 years, I mean, how is that condition even possible in a free country? Really? You know, what is that free country? So, it turns out that we didn't know. You know, we didn't know about Building 7. Why? Well, they wasn't played on the mainstream media. How can that happen? Well, it turns out that the censorship of this issue is massive and deep and broad. It turns out that 90% of the mainstream media in this country is owned by just 6 corporations. And then there's people who do research about those corporations, and what they say is that they're controlled by the same people who run the boards of directors or are the boards of directors in the corporations in the defense industry, the arms industry, the banking industry, the oil industry, the insurance industry, all of whom profited enormously from 9/11. So I knew I wasn't going to this wasn't going to be handled fast. And so we started Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth with one, and then I showed it to my firm, and they thought I was nuts at first. But I bought them pizza, and I got them. Maybe that's a trick you all can use as well. And they watched something very, very crude compared to what you've seen. Every one of them, 15 of them agreed with me. Oh my God, you're right. These are controlled demolitions. So I had the next 14 Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and I was off and running. And 38 from the next firm that I worked for a couple of years later. So there is progress, and we now have 1,700 Architects and Engineers, and you can read what we need is 17,000 Architects and Engineers, and we have 14,000 others, but what we need is hundreds of thousands, millions of others like yourself who are becoming aware of this information.